Have you ever felt invisible in a room full of people? You're talking, trying to connect, but no one really sees you. Imagine if you could instantly understand anyone, what they feel, what they think, without saying a single word. What if every glance, every movement, every pause became a secret key to reading their mind? Most people walk around blind, reacting to what they hear, what they're told, what's on the surface. But you can go deeper. You can see the real story unfolding in front of you. You can notice the tiny clues that everyone else misses. A twitch of the eye, a shift in posture, the way someone touches their face. These are not random. They are whispers of their thoughts. And once you learn to hear those whispers, you gain power. Real power. Have you ever wondered why some people always know exactly what others are thinking? Why they can predict reactions before a word is spoken? They're not psychic. They've simply mastered observation. They watch, they feel, they connect the dots, and the best part? You can do it too. Right now, in this very moment, you can start training your mind to see what others can't. Start by slowing down. Stop trying to speak first. Stop trying to impress. Just watch. Let your eyes catch the smallest details. Listen with more than your ears. Listen with your presence. People reveal everything when they're unaware of being observed. And here's the secret. The more you notice, the more you understand, the more you control your interactions without ever saying a word. Isn't it amazing how a single glance can tell a story louder than 1,000 sentences? How a quiet moment can reveal more than a long conversation. Imagine using this skill in your life, your career, your relationships. You could walk into any room and instantly read the room, read the people, read the energy. The power of observation isn't just about seeing, it's about understanding, it's about connection. It's about mastery over the subtle dance of human behavior. And once you start, you'll realize it's not just others who change when you watch closely. You change too. Every person you meet is an open book if you know how to look. And once you master this, you'll never be at the mercy of misunderstanding or guesswork again. Observation is power. Most people walk through life reacting to what they hear, what they're told, and what is plainly visible. They rely on words, on conversations, on explanations. But the truth is, words are only a small fraction of the story. The real truth lies in what people don't say. The glance that lingers too long, the hesitation before a movement, the way someone shifts their weight when they're uncomfortable, these are the signals that reveal who they truly are. When you learn to notice these details, you unlock a level of understanding that most people never experience. You see beyond the surface. You see the motives, the fears, the desires that guide behavior. Think about it. Every person you meet carries a silent language, a language made of expressions, gestures, and patterns. Some people are subtle, some are loud, some try to hide their feelings entirely. But nothing escapes observation if you are willing to train your mind to see clearly. You begin to notice the smallest inconsistencies, the tiny contradictions between words and actions. That's where real insight begins. You don't need to confront anyone. You don't need to ask questions. You simply watch. You pay attention. You allow yourself to absorb the information that everyone else misses. The power of observation is not just about seeing. It's about connecting. It's about interpreting. When you notice someone's foot tapping or a hand brushing against their face, it's more than a random action. It's a message. It's a clue. And the more clues you gather, the clearer the picture becomes. You start to recognize patterns. You start to predict behavior. You begin to understand what someone is thinking, feeling, or planning before they even speak. Observation also gives you control. It gives you the ability to respond, not react, to act with awareness rather than guesswork. You become the person who understands the room, the energy, the people around you. You can walk into any situation and read it like an open book, because you've mastered the skill of noticing, interpreting, and understanding without relying on spoken words. Once you truly embrace observation as power, every glance becomes information, every movement becomes insight, every silence becomes a message. You start to see patterns where others see chaos. You start to hear signals where others hear noise. You start to feel intentions where others feel confusion. Details matter. Most people think the big moments define a person, the loud declarations, the obvious choices, the words they speak. But the truth is, the real story lives in the tiny details that nobody notices. A slight shift of the shoulders, the way someone's eyes dart for a second, the subtle tilt of the head. These little things carry the real message. Life is built of details, and human behavior is no different. The details reveal intentions, emotions, and hidden truths that words can't always capture. If you train yourself to notice them, you gain insight that most people will never have. Have you ever watched someone closely and caught a micro-expression, a fleeting reaction that lasted less than a second? That small moment can tell you more than a 5-minute conversation. A smile that doesn't reach the eyes, a quick glance away when lying, a fidget when anxious, these are all details screaming the truth. And when you pay attention to these details consistently, patterns begin to emerge. You start to understand not just what someone is doing, but why they are doing it. You begin to see motivations hidden beneath layers of habit, social expectation, or fear. Details are everywhere if you're willing to look. Notice how someone holds a pen, the rhythm of their footsteps, the tone of their voice when they think nobody is listening. Every small action is a message waiting to be read. Every tiny gesture has meaning, and when you connect these dots, the picture becomes clear. People reveal themselves constantly, but only those who pay attention can see it. The challenge is that most of us are blind to these small signals because we're too focused on the big, obvious things. We miss the subtleties that carry the truth. But once you shift your attention, once you commit to observing the small, the hidden, the seemingly insignificant, your understanding of people transforms. You start to notice things others overlook. You start to understand emotions before they are spoken. You start to predict actions before they happen. Details are not trivial. They are everything. They are the invisible threads that weave the story of human behavior. The more detail you can see, the more control you gain over your interactions, your relationships, and your understanding of the world around you. The small movements, the quiet gestures, the unnoticed expressions, they are the language of truth. And the more you learn to read it, the stronger you become. Slow down and be present. In today's world, everyone is rushing to talk, rushing to be seen. We move so fast that we miss the details hiding right in front of us. But observation isn't about speed. It's about focus. It's about being fully aware of what's happening in the moment. When you slow down, when you stop trying to speak first or react immediately, you open the door to seeing things others overlook. You begin to notice the subtle shifts in energy, the small gestures, the tiny expressions that reveal more than words ever could. Being present means more than just looking. It means truly paying attention. Most people see, but they don't notice. They hear words, but they don't feel meaning. They react without understanding. When you slow down, you engage all your senses. You notice the tone in someone's voice, the rhythm of their movements, the energy they carry. You start to feel what they feel. You start to understand what they are thinking. And this awareness changes everything. You don't need to guess, you don't need to assume, and you don't need to ask. Observation becomes your guide. Have you ever met someone and instantly felt their mood before they spoke? That's presence. That's paying attention to the small cues, the way they stand, the way they move, the tiny habits that reveal their inner state. When you are present, you are no longer a passive participant. You become an active observer. Every glance, every pause, every micro movement becomes meaningful. Every person you meet becomes a story you can read if you choose to slow down. Slowing down also trains your mind to filter out distractions. The world is full of noise, but presence allows you to focus on what truly matters. You notice patterns, you see truths, you catch signals that others completely miss, and the more present you become, the more accurate your observations. You start to connect actions with intentions, expressions with emotions, and words with hidden meanings. Presence is not passive. It's a skill, a mindset, a practice. It requires patience, awareness, and discipline. But once you commit to slowing down, you gain clarity, you gain understanding. You gain the ability to read people and situations with precision. Every detail becomes visible, every signal becomes clear, and every interaction becomes an opportunity to learn, interpret, and respond intelligently. Connect the dots. Observation is only the first step. Seeing is not enough. You must learn to interpret what you see, to link one detail to another, to find the hidden patterns that tell the real story. Every small gesture, every expression, every movement is a piece of a puzzle. On their own, they may seem random or insignificant, but when you connect them, the picture becomes clear. The power of observation multiplies when you can understand how one action relates to another, how words align or don't with behavior, and how emotions influence decisions. Think about it. People give off signals constantly, but most of us ignore them because we don't know how to connect them. A fleeting smile, a nervous hand movement, a pause before a response. These aren't isolated events. They are connected. They are part of a pattern that, when recognized, reveals what someone is truly thinking or feeling. The more you train yourself to notice and link these details, the better you become at predicting behavior. You start to anticipate reactions, understand motivations, and see intentions before they are spoken. Connecting the dots also requires patience. You cannot rush understanding. You cannot assume that a single action tells the whole story. Observation is continuous. Details unfold over time. Patterns emerge slowly, like pieces of a puzzle coming together. Each interaction adds more information, more context, more clarity. The more dots you see, the stronger your understanding becomes. And when you can connect them accurately, you gain insight that gives you a huge advantage in every interaction, in every conversation, in every situation. Relying solely on words is dangerous, because words can be misleading. People say what they want you to hear, but their actions reveal the truth. When you connect the dots between what they say and what they do, you uncover the hidden reality. You see the contradictions, the hesitations, the intentions hiding beneath the surface. You start to understand the real story, not the story someone wants you to believe. The ability to connect the dots transforms observation into mastery. It turns passive watching into active understanding. It allows you to navigate human behavior with precision. You begin to see patterns where others see chaos, to find meaning where others see randomness, to understand intentions where others see only actions. And the more connections you make, the sharper your perception becomes, the deeper your insight grows, and the more influence you gain in every interaction. Observation builds influence. Most people think influence comes from talking louder, arguing harder, or trying to impress others. But the truth is, real influence comes from understanding. When you observe carefully, when you notice the small details and read the unspoken messages, you gain insight into people that they don't even realize you have. And with that insight, you can respond in ways that guide, persuade, and inspire, without ever forcing your opinion or using words unnecessarily. Influence is not about control. It's about awareness, and awareness comes from observation. Think about it. People are constantly revealing themselves, often without knowing it. The way they shift in their chair, the tone in their voice, the expressions that flash across their face, these are all clues. And if you learn to notice and interpret these clues, you can connect with them on a deeper level. You can speak to what they really need, what they really feel, what they truly care about. And when you do that, you gain trust, you gain credibility, you gain influence. People respond to someone who understands them because understanding feels like validation, and validation builds connection. Observation also gives you power in decision-making. When you can read a room, when you can sense moods and intentions, you know when to speak, when to act, and when to wait. You avoid conflict, you build alliances, and you navigate complex situations with confidence. People who cannot observe are blind participants. People who can observe lead, guide, and influence naturally. Influence doesn't require force. It requires perception. And perception comes from noticing the subtle signs that everyone else ignores. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to get what they want effortlessly? They know the right words to say, the right timing, the perfect approach. They don't rely on luck. They rely on observation. They understand people because they watch. They connect the dots, they feel the energy, they sense the hidden desires. And that's how they influence without pressure. That's how they create results without resistance. Influence grows the more you observe. Every detail you notice, every micro-expression you read, every gesture you interpret, adds to your understanding. And the more you understand, the more effectively you can guide interactions, shape conversations, and impact outcomes. Observation transforms you from a passive participant into a quiet force. It gives you the ability to lead without pushing, to guide without controlling, and to inspire without speaking more than necessary. Self-growth through watching others is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Most people think growth comes from reading books, attending courses, or listening to advice. But the reality is, the world around you is the greatest teacher if you know how to observe. Every person you meet, every interaction you have, is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and improve. When you watch carefully, when you pay attention to behaviors, reactions, and decisions, you start to notice patterns in others that reveal both strengths and weaknesses. And by noticing these patterns, you can reflect on your own actions, your own habits, your own mindset. Think about it. When you see someone succeed, you can study not just what they say, but how they move, how they think, how they handle challenges. You can see their discipline, their focus, their habits. And when you see someone struggle, you can observe the mistakes, the blind spots, the habits that hold them back. This dual observation of success and failure teaches more than any lecture ever could. You start to recognize which behaviors to adopt and which ones to avoid. You start to create a roadmap for your own growth, guided by real examples rather than theory. Watching others also teaches empathy. The more you observe, the more you understand the challenges people face, the pressures they carry, the fears that drive their decisions. You begin to see life from different perspectives, and this understanding shapes your character, your patience, your ability to respond instead of react. Self-growth is not just about becoming smarter or stronger, it's about becoming more aware, more compassionate, and more capable of navigating human behavior with clarity. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to evolve faster than others? They aren't luckier or smarter, they are better observers. They watch, they reflect, they adapt. Every interaction becomes a lesson. Every conversation becomes feedback. Every person becomes a mirror showing parts of themselves that can inspire change. And the more consistently you watch, the more deeply you grow. You begin to see your own blind spots, your own habits, your own potential. You start to understand not just how the world works, but how you work within it. Observation, when used for self-growth, transforms life into a continuous learning experience. It turns ordinary encounters into opportunities for insight, reflection, and improvement. Every glance, every gesture, every small detail you notice in others becomes a tool for refining yourself. And as you refine yourself, your awareness expands, your skills sharpen, and your ability to navigate life with confidence and wisdom grows.